Hey guys, my name is Andrew Nam or Clay Aiken, and this is Higher Learning Gaming, Episode 1. I want to share my life in a positive light and learn from others as well. So, for the topic of this episode, it's going to be about addiction versus obsession. Now, the overview for this topic is I'm going to first talk about an example from each one and make an interpretation of those examples and then explain what happens when you combine both together. And then lastly, I'm going to give a call to action. Now, a little background story. All my obsessions and addictions started in middle school, a place of innocence. And during that time, I wanted to avoid my family because they were fighting a lot and it was really, really negative. And after my father passed away, I wanted to get away from all that negativity. And my grandparents at the time were living in California, and I decided to move to them. So when I went there, I decided to go to a private Christian middle school in Orange County called Crystal Cathedral Academy. And that's when my addictions and obsession started to occur. My addiction was World of Warcraft. I was first introduced to World of Warcraft by my friend Dean. And he was telling me about how this game was really fun to play because you get to decide all these different classes you could be, and it was just when it was starting to come out. So that's when it was getting really popular. And he was really into MMORPGs. And I got hooked from there. Most nights after school, I started logging into the game and I really felt at home. I felt like I belonged with that virtual world. I got the same feeling from school as well, where I felt like I knew everyone and everyone knew me as well. Now, I played a Palm Pyro Mage at the time, and if you guys have any questions about these terminologies that I have, feel free to leave a comment below and I'll try my best to answer them. And I just had a very fun time playing the game. Now, after I left California, I moved back to Texas, where I originally lived, and high school started to come around. I was having these problems fitting into a big school, and I was very anxious. It eventually came to the point where I didn't get the desired grades I wanted because of all the bad habits I developed. I didn't study that much in middle school, but I was still getting good grades. And I felt like the way to belong to this high school I was going to was to get good grades, which is not true. I just made that thought. Everything I cared about for that school pertained to having a really good GPA. And I felt like everyone else cared about that, getting that 6.0 GPA. 4.0 GPA was a thing of the past. And it was more difficult to pull it off in high school than in middle school. And I ended up wanting to just get away from all that. So I ended up reenacting that sense of belonging with World of Warcraft. And that's when World of Warcraft started to become my fix. I wanted to relive my childhood through this fix. And the problem with this is that I didn't want to do anything else. I became very anxious because I couldn't perform higher than I wanted to at school, and all my responsibilities and my performance just went down hard. And I started to avoid it more and more. And I started to run away from my issues. But the problem is you can't run away from your problems forever. World of Warcraft ended up becoming an itch I wanted to scratch. And I just kept thinking about it every single day. And when I was at school, when I did go to school, or when I was hanging out with friends, all I thought about was, man, I could be just playing World of Warcraft right now. And the thing about it is I always felt like there's something I needed to do in the game. Whether it's doing daily quests or it's collecting something, I always felt like, oh, I gotta go do this, I gotta go do that. And I ended up fighting my everyday responsibilities and even taking care of myself just to indulge in my addiction more. My obsession example is working out. And this also started in my middle school years as well. And it came about with the discipline of just participating in sports. And I love playing sports. And the beauty of working out, exercising, or eating right is that anyone can do it. I just love that part, is that there's no barrier to it. So at this private middle school, I was allowed to join the team because anyone was allowed to join the team. And depending on what season it was, I was playing basketball, volleyball, and flag football, and just loved it. I just loved exercising, going out, having fun, playing, and growing. I never really cared about the result I got from it. I just wanted to improve and just kept being better than before. And I realized it became my obsession when I started to develop a language for it. So an amazing and simple example is warming up. My muscles, every muscle needs time to activate itself, and warming up helps to progress to the next stage of muscle growth. So every day during our sports practice, we warmed up to get our bodies ready to become active. So that concept can be translated into the real world where our mentality needs time to warm up when diving into a subject. Before I came to middle school, I was a chubby kid. I'm not gonna lie. I ate a lot of Korean snacks and ramen and didn't really care about my health. And I remember one day when out in middle school, I was in the locker room with another friend named Andrew. It's weird, we had so many Andrews out of school. But anyways, I remember clearly that moment when I wore a very small jersey shirt to get ready for a basketball game, and my friend went, "Hey, you're really skinny." And I went, "Yeah, I guess I am. I just didn't really notice." And that result came from just participating in sports for 2 to 3 years. And afterwards, when high school came along, I didn't exercise as much as I used to, and tried joining the cross country team 2 years too late. What I love about them is they allowed anyone to join, but I didn't go at the start of high school because I was too afraid. And now that I wanted to go, it was way into my late junior years, and I already lost my strength and endurance I gained in middle school. So with that lack of performance I had, I decided to stop going. I rekindled, though, my obsession recently with working out with NerdFitness. So NerdFitness is it's a fitness it's a fitness website that is beyond the exclamation of 2 sentences, but blends entertainment such as video games and comics into fitness and nutrition. So it's using the language of video games and fitness to become a better person. And I really love that about NerdFitness. The beauty of working out is the flexibility of it. You can have a standard routine, but you can change different parts of it, and you have the freedom to work out however your heart desires. There's also tons of sports that you can play, gyms you can go to, and healthy foods you can eat and cook however you want to. And it's all up to you to decide how you want to live your life. The way I interpret these two examples now. So for addiction, I feel like addiction controls you. And all you really care about with addiction is the result. So for example, my friend Jimmy was addicted to working out. All he cared about was the results. He'd work out 4 hours every single day, and he was just focused on pushing more weight, like it was an achievement to attain. And he gained his power through results of number and size. So for me, it was that feeling, that results of feeling a sense of belonging. And I kept wanting it more and more every single day. And I started to work on someone else's time. I felt very restricted. And I lost my freedom and my free will because I was chained down by my addiction. With obsession, I believe obsession is a way of expanding your mind to think of that certain manner. For example, eating. Before I ate food like it was a regular thing to do. It was an everyday habit. Now, as I take a bite of a hard-boiled egg, I think, how much protein does this have? Does it have good or bad cholesterol, and how much does that have an effect on me? How can I blend this egg with other nutrition to give me the optimal amount of daily nutrition? How can I make this both taste good and be better for my body? What other proteins are out there? How much fat does this egg have? What's the best kind of egg to eat? What time of the day is it best to eat it? And as I'm thinking about this, I'm expanding my mind and branching out and trying to be more flexible just with the way I'm eating eggs. And the way I prevented being healthy, so including working out and eating right, from becoming an addiction is I disciplined it and I thought of it as a long marathon. So if I didn't get the results I wanted today, if I maybe ate something bad or I didn't hit a certain benchmark, it was okay because I have tomorrow to tackle it again. And I didn't have to prove anything to anyone. And I don't look at my benchmarks as achievements. For example, if I were to bench press 135 pounds, that's having 45 pound plates on each side. So some people like to see that as achievements because you see those big plates on each side. But to me, I just see it as another step in the process. I'm doing 10 more pounds than I did the previous week. The two words I like to think of when thinking of a session is flexibility and infinity. So the way I work out can be flexible and I can adjust according to what I need to do and accomplish. And I can gain an infinite amount of knowledge from health, nutrition, fitness, and positive mentality. So as I'm working on this craft, I can become a master of it. And I start becoming more involved every day. And I grow as a person and I learn what I learned yesterday starts to build on top of what I learned today. So in conclusion, I believe both addiction and obsession comes from a place of innocence. So with World of Warcraft, it was introduced by my friends and I had a fun time playing with them. And with exercising, it was an opportunity to interact with new people and have fun. I believe obsession can turn into an addiction, however, and vice versa. And I believe also that addictions can be fixed. You just have to work on your mentality of what you're addicted to. So right now I play World of Warcraft, but I don't need it anymore. I gain my sense of belonging through other things, such as meditation and gratitude. And I fix and I balance my issue with addiction and obsession by making it a passion through streaming. And passion is the combination of both addiction and obsession blended together. And this is where you start sharing your experience with others. And this allows you to keep in check of the things that you do. So my passion is analyzing human behavior and the psyche. And my mind just works that way. I'm always thinking about how the mind works and analyzing things. And I want to share this experience and thoughts with other people, for example, doing these kind of things. If I were to keep all my thoughts to myself, it would start to become an obsession, and I wouldn't want to interact with anyone, and I would just want to be alone. So what I do now is I set goals, I have a schedule, but I also can be flexible from a schedule when I need to be, and I adapt to the situation at hand. So my mind now just starts naturally thinking and uses the language of World of Warcraft, video games, and fitness. But the only difference now from before is I no longer think, man, I have to get that one more daily quest in. I gotta play that one more game. I gotta do this one more thing. And it's no longer an itch I need to scratch anymore. So passion has two parts, as I said before. So the obsession part is the part where you have the need to grow and experience something new or express yourself. The addiction part comes in when you let your motor skills take control of the things you already implemented. And what I mean by that is you're allowing your habits to let you allow yourself to flow through. Let me start over on that. So I believe addiction comes into play when you let your motor skills take control of yourself and you just flow through the process. So you implemented the good habits that you created and practice it enough times where you're just flowing through it. And it's kind of like you're letting your intuition play a part and you're not actually consciously involved in it. And you're trusting yourself to do these things and you're kind of letting go. So as your intuition is controlling your rhythm, then it starts to become easier and easier just to do those things. And that's where many people look at high class performers, such as pro gamers, and they always say, man, they make that look easy. And the reason why is because those pro gamers aren't really doing a lot on stage, because they're letting their intuition do everything on stage. But to get to that point where they're just naturally excelling at that level and allowing their intuition to take control takes years and years to master. So with passion comes growth from failure. So when something goes wrong, you go out and fix it. You're actively participating in your craft. And you're trying new things, and eventually after 10,000 hours, after working on your craft, you become a master of it. So that's all I have to say about obsession and addiction and passion. And lastly, I like to give a call to action for everyone. So my call to action to everyone is have a passion, make a plan to share that passion, and execute that plan and adjust every day. I want to thank you guys for listening and hope you guys enjoyed listening to this and hope you guys gained something from this. If you guys have anything to say, just leave a comment below and I'll make sure to read as much as I can and respond accordingly. Thank you guys for your time.